All right, guys, we're starting with Kyushu 1 of Chapter 3 now, and we're looking at migration. Okay, so where are migrants distributed? It's basically, the first thing that we look at is similar to the demographic transition, it's similar to the epidemiological transition. This is called the migration transition, okay, except this one's easier to understand. First of all, we look at it, we see stage 1. First of all, 0 countries are in stage 1, okay, same thing is true in the migration transition. This is high daily or seasonal mobility in search of food. Okay, so this is like nomadic people who are looking all over the place for food. All right, no countries are in stage 1, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, then we look at stage 2, which again we're looking at a lot of countries in sub-Saharan Africa. This is high international immigration, meaning they're leaving, and inter-regional migration from rural to urban areas. Okay, so people are leaving like farms and stuff, and they're moving into the major cities. They're still not making a ton of money, but they're starting to make more. Okay, whereas stage 3, high international immigration, as in people want to come there. Okay, people are coming there from the stage 2 countries. You're almost never going to see somebody go from a stage 3 to a stage 2. You're going to see them go the opposite. Okay, everybody's always looking for better opportunities. Okay, that's why stage 4 is going to be the exact same thing. You're going to see even people moving from stage 3 countries to stage 4 countries. You see this a lot with people moving from Latin America today or Asia today to the United States or to Australia. Okay, so there's 2 major types of migration that are then subdivided beyond that. Okay, so the first is international and internal migration. So international migration is when you're going from one country to another. Okay, so this is, and migration implies that it's a permanent move. So you've got 2 kinds there. You've got voluntary and forced. Okay, so voluntary, they choose to move. Forced migration means that they're basically compelled to move. They're kicked out for political or environmental factors. So the other thing that you could see is them not being kicked out, but maybe if there's like a coup in that country or something, or a giant revolution, they're forced out. And we'll talk about some of those here in just a little bit. Okay, so internal migration, we're looking at you're staying within the same country, and in that you can have inter-regional or intra-regional. Okay, now those sound difficult to understand. They sound super similar, but they're really not. Okay, inter-regional is from one region to another. Okay, so this would be like moving from Grapevine to Los Angeles. Okay, that's inter-regional. You're staying in the same country, but you're moving from one region to another. Whereas intra-regional, you're moving within the same region. So again, let's say our region is Texas. We're moving from Grapevine to Dallas, or from Dallas to Colleyville or something. You're moving either from the suburbs into urban areas or vice versa. Okay. International migration patterns. This is what the map looks like. The really, really dark red ones are places where people are going a lot. The lighter you get, basically, the more people are leaving those places. Okay, so if you look at a place like India, a place like China, what they have is what's called brain drain. Okay, and this is where basically all of the people who can get that country out of stage 2 or out of stage 3 and into stage 4, they're leaving and going to more developed countries for better opportunities. Okay, so that's why you see the United States, Canada, Western Europe, and Australia all be some of the places where people are going the most. All right, U.S. immigration patterns, we're going to talk about these in class, but the first thing, immigration patterns in 17th and 18th centuries, you're seeing it from Europe and sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, both of those make sense. Europe, people are coming there willingly. People are coming there because they want to be here. Sub-Saharan Africa, not so much, right? That's where the slaves are coming from. Then we start looking at the mid-19th to early 20th century. This is when the United States starts to develop, or starts to think about using quota systems, because they've got a bunch of people from Ireland and Germany. Remember, Ireland just had the potato famine. These people are, it's almost forced migration because the economy there had gotten so bad. And then Scandinavia and Southern and Eastern Europe. Now, the thing to remember with U.S. immigration policy is that the Americans liked Northern and Western Europeans because they spoke English primarily. They didn't really like Germany and Scandinavia and Southern and Eastern Europe because they didn't speak English. They were harder to assimilate into the culture, and they also tended tended to think that all of these immigrants were taking their jobs. And so we'll try to draw some comparisons between that and maybe what's going on today. Okay, and then late 20th, early 21st century. Okay, so that's where we are today. We're seeing a lot of our immigrants coming from Asia and from Latin America. Okay, and this is the same thing. This is people leaving stage 2 and stage 3 countries and coming to a stage 4 country. It's not necessarily because the United States is the best country in the world. It's just because it is one of the developed countries, and it's one of the shortest routes for people in Asia or Latin America to get to, because it's taking them less time than to get to, say, Australia or Western Europe. So the United States just happens to be the landing spot. All right, that's it for key issue 1. Just make sure you got all that and be ready to talk about it on Monday or Tuesday.